back direction. I just think they kind of put themselves between a rock and a hard place because it was supposed to be like a cult, but because of what happened to Brody Lee and they want to honor it and know he's going to be a fan favorite, they're kind of like stuck in this purgatory of what they can do with the Dark Order. It's definitely a face grip at this point, and good for them, but I think it kind of feels directionless, and to me, it kind of looks like they're playing with the hand that they're dealt. Not in a negative way. They're just like, okay, well, this is the only thing we could do with it. Cole Cabana is part of the group. They got Johnny Hungy over, which I don't know the dude's real last name. I don't know his number. You got Preston Vance. Preston Vance is remarkable in the Dark Order. Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, Alan Angels, and to people that kind of talk naively about AEW, which I can understand. If it's not your bag, I get it. I am okay with being critical of it because there is botches, but I think there's botches in all wrestling. They have a little bit of benefit of the doubt because they haven't been around long, and they always try to change what's not working. But I'm wanting to take time out of here. Is I can name more people part of the Dark Order than I've been able to name of other groups in WWE, and that shows that they're trying to make stars out of them. I don't believe that AEW is a WWE retirement zone where they're going to bring in the stars and kind of get them over, and that's going to be all that they're working with because, yeah, they might do that from time to time. They're doing basically that with Christian Cage and Matt Hardy, but they're not winning champions. Christian Cage and Matt Hardy are used to get people over. Hardy's doing it by association with the Hardy family office. I want to call it organization. I just don't think the name. They should probably change that. But and Christian Cage is doing it by losing to some of the people that are up and coming, like Jungle Boy. Jericho won the title, but he had to bring relevance to it to drop it to Jon Moxley. Yes, Jon Moxley was a champion in WWE under Dean Ambrose, but Jon Moxley and Dean Ambrose are not the same character by any stretch of the imagination. Luke Harper came in and won the TNT title as Brody Lee, but Brody Lee was damn sure believable as a monster heel when he beat Cody Rhodes. Now you look at it, TNT title has now been held by Darby Allin and subsequently dropped to Miro. They're making a star out of Miro with it. They made a star out of Darby Allin with it. Current World Heavyweight Champion is Kenny Omega, who's likely going to lose it to Adam Page, and so on and so forth. I don't think that criticism's fair. If you want to criticize the fact that they have Tony Schiavone and JR on commentary as nostalgia acts, I get it. I do dig Tony Schiavone as a commentator as well as JR. They feel like fans, and that's the style that I like. Point being, like, when it comes to SmackDown, my preferred commentator is Pat McAfee. My preferred commentator for NXT is Bad News Barrett. God, what's his name? Wade Barrett. I almost called him Stu Barrett. I know Stu is his real name. But Wade Barrett. He is my preferred commentator. I'm not really a big fan of the Raw commentary team. I don't like Jimmy Smith. I don't like Corey Graves, and I don't like Byron. It just seems like Corey Graves and Byron became more of a WWE product and not their individual character on commentary. They kind of feel like a Wish version of Michael Cole. Oh, sorry, jump back to NXT briefly. They did bring Samoa Joe back. That was done by Triple H, and you can kind of tell that Triple H is getting kind of annoyed with the cuts. But they brought Samoa Joe back as kind of an authority figure with the GM, and as long as I think Triple H is going to keep Samoa Joe in NXT, so he has more control over what happens to him. So I got to give Triple H credit where credit's due there. But yeah, again, criticism on AEW, I want it to make sense. If you want to criticize that Cody Rhodes' character is is pushed way too much more than he is over, I'd agree there. I'm not a big fan of Cody Rhodes' current character in AEW, but it's more or less because it's a tweener thing. I can respect the guy as a businessman for being able to get AEW to become a thing, but it begins and ends with there. And I'm not going to say he's a horrible wrestler. I do think Dustin's a little bit better as a performer, but I'm not going to say he's a horrible wrestler because he's definitely above average. But again, that's where it is. And I do think the TNT Championship had to get to him first because I think he was one of the guys like Chris Jericho. He had to make it worth something. Either way, I dig Powerhouse Hobbs and Team Taz. But you could tell they're building towards Adam Page to take on Kenny Omega and dethrone him as champion. Next, we had Matt Sydal, former Evan Bourne, against Dante Martin. I think Dante Martin, if I remember correctly, was one of the people that were trained by Cody Rhodes. Dante Martin put on a very good performance here. It was a very entertaining match, but ultimately, end all be all, Matt Sydal won. But what I'm getting from here, because AEW on TNT tweeted out or posted out, I'm not sure how they did it, that Matt Sydal will probably be the wrestler of this week, or the wrestler of the week from the past week. But let's be real, Dante Martin put on a great performance, and I was more impressed with Dante Martin. I know Matt Sydal can wrestle, and I'm very impressed with his performances overall, but this definitely made Dante Martin be appreciated. Next match, they had Bear Bronson versus Ethan Page. I've been a fan of Ethan Page since Impact Wrestling when he was part of the North. And credit to Impact, what they're able to do with Josh Alexander now that Ethan Page has left. This ultimately, Bear Bronson versus Ethan Page was made to make Page look strong. He looked good in the match overall. He wins by pinfall. Chris Statlander took down the Bunny. When it comes to these two, I like the Bunny as Allie from Impact. I'm still trying to understand her character in AEW. I know she hasn't been given a lot of individual time on Dynamite. I'm trying to become more interested. Not interested shouldn't be the proper word. I'm trying to devote more time to watching Dark and Dark Elevation, just to try and see what they got going on over there. But she did not look bad here. And Chris Statlander, I'm more of a fan of Chris Statlander in AEW than the Bunny, but I think this is the right move to try and get them more out there, so that they can build someone for Britt Baker to face. Something that's been going on is Britt Baker's not the best women's wrestler. I never said she was. There's definitely more people deserving. Like, I do think Bayley is a better performer. Sasha, Charlotte, unfortunately, even though I don't like the character. Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, a few other people are definitely better performers. But I want to give credit where credit's due when it comes to Britt Baker. She was able to take the opportunity given to her by the pandemic, get her character over on TV, not really taking any bumps while she healed up. And she has shown that she's willing to put in the work by doing the hardcore matches and everything else. So she's a good performer, and she's definitely shown that she is dedicated to making this work. That's where I think credit should go to. I think she'll continually get better. I don't know if she will ever achieve some of the other accolades that other people that are women wrestlers have able to achieve in other companies. But I have been very impressed with what she was able to do during her injury and was able to accomplish here on out. Her winning the title at this year's Double or Nothing was definitely a long time coming to her. She earned it. So, again, that's where I want the negativity to stop with AEW and regarding Britt Baker. AEW World Championship match between Kenny Omega and Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy got this by winning the Casino Battle Royal at Double or Nothing. This was honestly a really good match. We kind of knew going into this that Jungle Boy wasn't going to dethrone Kenny Omega. You could just kind of tell. But they're using this to get Jungle Boy more over. And Jungle Boy is a great performer. I don't know if he's necessarily ready for the world title at this point. I wouldn't be against him getting a TNT title over the next couple of months. But you're definitely being able to see how many people are, or how much people are behind Jungle Boy. And this is an example of AEW making him a star. He does have something going for him with him being Luke Perry's son with that name recognition, but he doesn't use the name Jack Perry. He uses Jungle Boy. He might have to change his name down the line because, I mean, you can't be Jungle Boy at 40 years old. I mean, I guess you could, but I don't know if it's going to work against him in believability as a champion later on and down the line. But great performance. Kenny Omega won, of course he did, with the what's it called? The One Wing Angel. So, yeah. It was a really good Dynamite. I know ratings-wise it didn't do that great, but it's airing on Saturday night at 10:30 p.m. No one's going to expect them to get really good ratings on not a normal night. Just my opinion, ratings don't count when it comes to Friday night and Saturday night, especially if they're a later Friday night, like the 10 o'clock hour, because that's not the normal night. That's not what they're targeting towards. They market so much for Wednesday, and people typically in their demographic that they're trying to achieve, the 18 to 49, people are not usually home between those ages on Friday and Saturday night. I mean, you're nearing at the latter end of that where people are home more frequently. I will say I'm inside that demographic and I am home, but it's because I have kids. So either way, it was a really good Dynamite, and I am curious to see how they do returning to Wednesday. Moving on to Impact on NXT or NXT. Wow, Access TV. They're still building up the whole thing going on between Rosemary and the tag team champions, which ultimately led to a match between Rosemary and Kiera Hogan with Tasha Steelz on the outside. Rosemary was able to win. Rosemary is one of these people that I wouldn't mind seeing her work part of the talent agreement with AEW. Maybe one-off matches with like Britt Baker, things like that. Rosemary is definitely one of the better women's wrestlers that are still going now. I would kind of put her up there with the Mickie James. I don't know if they've been active as the same amount of time, but I know Rosemary's been part of Impact for around a decade at this point, and she's definitely putting good performances. I like the fact that she's leaning to Decay right now with Crazy Steve and Black Taurus. I think it's how you say his name. Then you have Deonna Purrazzo versus Susan and Kimber Lee. One of the things that kind of made its way around social media is that at one point Susan says, "Professional wrestle me now," which was very entertaining. And I give her a lot of credit for trying to get the entertaining aspect over. Deonna Purrazzo was just a heel champion that took full advantage of everything she could. And yeah, it definitely showed not necessarily dirty work, but basically a little bit more on the domination factor with it. I give a lot of credit to Susan for being able to portray multiple different characters that are wide range between, she made popular by Su Yung, and then has been Susie and now Susan. So she's basically pulling off the three faces of Foley as a women's wrestler, which is, gotta give her credit. She separates them enough to where it's believable that this person might have some sort of DID issues or multiple personality disorder. Then you get Rohit Raju and Shira versus Petey Williams and Trey Miguel. This was a pretty good match overall. It was the one thing I didn't like is Shira kind of, I don't know how to explain this, where Shira, you kind of didn't know what part was, if Shira was fully on to embrace this tag team with Rohit Raju. Rohit, in my opinion, is one of the best performers that TNA has, both as character and in-ring work. Same with Trey Miguel. But overall, it had this weird feeling like you didn't know whether or not Shira was going to be on the same side as his tag team partner. It did create this will they, won't they kind of thing, but overall, it kind of, you didn't know if you wanted to invest into them. Moving on, you got Sam Beal versus Jake Something. Jake Something won, but what I would give a lot more credit to, and Sam Beal has been on in earlier episodes, what he's doing with Brian Myers is one of the best things he could be doing right now. It's further character development. It makes you care about him, which is a good thing, and it makes Brian Myers very entertaining. Now, where I think they're going to end up going with this, my opinion is Sam Beal's going to turn on Brian Myers, and realign himself with Jake Something. I feel like that's coming. I do want to see Jake Something versus Brian Myers later on, and I think that would be a very entertaining match. But I do like the work that they're doing. Jake Something did, I don't know if I stated this already or not, Jake Something did win and beat Sam Beal. One of my favorite parts of the promo afterwards from Brian Myers is